Welcome to this episode of the Strong Kind Podcast. This episode is with Terrence Motley, also known as Meathead_Rehab on Instagram. Terrence is a physical therapist. He's a strength and conditioning coach. He is in charge of physical therapy for BYU's football program currently. He's also just a funny and intelligent guy, and we had a really awesome conversation oriented around what good training looks like, what good rehab looks like, how much BS there often is in these spaces, and how often people overlook relatively simple but challenging things in favor of flashy things or weird pseudoscientific things in order to solve problems in our space. Had a great conversation with Terrence. Really appreciated him coming on. You can find him again at Meathead_Rehab on Instagram. Had a great conversation. You should check this one out. Hope it helps you in any way. If you are struggling with rehab or training and you want to orient around your goals, work through an injury, and get practical, sustainable, and meaningful training from a coach like myself, reach out to me at dr.dave.strengthandkindness. I'd love to chat with you, help you out in any way I can. Thanks so much for being here. Peace. All right, I'm here with Terrence Motley, Meathead_Rehab on Instagram. I think that's what I should just lean into, is the fact that I'm just having conversations with people from Instagram that I like or that I follow and whatnot. But Terrence, actually, me and you kind of followed each other back and forth on your personal page a few years ago, maybe when I first started my account, right?
Yeah.
And then when did you start with BYU?
So I started BYU in summer of 2023, so it's been about 3 full years.
Nice. Okay. And then how long have you been a PT?
So about 3.5 years.
Okay,
So,
nice.
yeah, I went to PT school 2020 to 2022, and then I got this job just a little bit after I graduated.
Because what were you doing before?
So I was a strength and conditioning coach before physical therapy school. I worked in the collegiate football realm for a number of years. And so I did that professionally, and then, started having more kids and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if this transient job field is exactly what I need for my family. So transitioned out, ended up going to physical therapy school.
Nice. Okay, so, and this is one of the things that, I actually talked to a Dylan Carmody Rotullo, who's a PT. I don't know if you follow him. Smart guy. He kind of went into the strength science realm, and then he went to PT school. And we were just kind of talking about there is seemingly a lot of overlap, right? But it's probably anywhere you go, there's some compartmentalization, right?
Yeah.
How has being a PT for BYU football been? What's your experience been like? Maybe, I don't know how much good, bad you can share, but just the realities of it. Maybe that's more of what people need to hear, because I think people, let's say a 24-year-old kid who's do I go to PT school? It's well, what do you want, right? And what do you need? And what are the realities of a lot of these jobs gonna be, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Talk about your experience there.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Dave. And, it's been interesting because I think when I first got this job, I was like, oh, this is my dream job, because it really is working with athletes, being able to do some strength coach stuff along with my clinical PT stuff. It's really an ideal situation. The thing is I and this is the same thing when I was working as a strength coach. A lot of people think that working in collegiate sports, especially college football, is really sexy, right? And it's
Yeah.
oh, well, you get to travel, and you get all the free gear, and you get to work out in a cool weight room, and that stuff is true. But I also work 70, 80-hour weeks, damn near year round, and
Yeah.
I got to deal with a lot of the same politics and BS a lot of the people got to deal with, and when you're dealing with high value assets now, especially with all this NIL stuff, I got to tell some kid that makes 3 times my yearly salary to just lift weights and practice football,
Yeah.
to do his rehab exercises. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't, I'm in trouble. So it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of stress that comes with that as well. That's just the real side of it. But I get a lot of people. I've had some recently, some kids who are, I say kids, I'm an old guy, but some kids who are strength coaches, reach out, like, hey, should I go to physical therapy school? Do you think I want to follow the same route? And I'm like, don't go to physical therapy school just to hopefully end up in this route. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I had almost given up on college sports entirely once I quit coaching. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to go back to sports. And then I started working in like a clinical scenario, and I was actually like a week away from taking a clinic job in Arizona, when the perspective of this job came up, and just the time was right and things ended up working out to get the job. But I was ready to just walk away from college sports in general, and then it kind of pulled me back because I'm a glutton for pain. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of people think, well, if I go to PT school, I can end up in this route, and it's like, well, me ending up in this route it was kind of a unique scenario. And nowadays too, like these jobs are being gatekept by people who, they want you to do residencies and they want you to do all this other stuff. And so it's a little hard to say, oh yeah, well, if you do this, then this will happen, because mine is pretty unique.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like that's the thing I take away from so much. It's almost life right now, man. It's like life has always been there's a number of factors, but life has always been like what you make of it. Like, right. Yeah. Like your perspective, how you navigate your troubles. Like nobody's going to get through life like unscathed. Like, and really like the more challenges you're willing to like manage, like the better off you are, right? But I mean, so much of me, even my lifting journey, dude, and we're going to get into this, but like it's up until probably now when I'm 37, I've just finally accepted like, oh, you know what, like actually good progress is like slow, steady, like do your stuff, ride these waves of up and down. And like I've made, like I'm nothing special, but I have gotten stronger and I have performed well, and like I still love doing it, and I think that's really important. But like I think so many people who are like in their early 20s, they're going into our field, which first and foremost, our field is like any other field. Like there's politics, there's stupid stuff, there are these different tribes and honestly cults of behavior.
Yes.
When it's like, you described it. It's like I have people who they have pain, they have sensitivity, they need to perform a task, right? A lot of it is like, okay, how can I help you back off enough to actually let yourself recover and you do the stuff that is actually necessary for healing and just feeling good, both physically and psychologically. Like a lot of our job anymore is just trying to keep people away from doing bullshit that people have told them to do.
You're telling me,
right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Well, and it's funny you mentioned cults, right? And like, I'll make no mistake. I mean, shoot, you and I are basically in a PT cult. The way that like people that this whole like movement optimism thing. Like you look at guys like me, you, and like Q and those dudes, like people that just actually advocate for like loading and just trying to get people stronger. Like we're looked at as freaking cult members,
Yeah.
And like on top of that, shoot, I'm Mormon too, so people think I'm in two cults. You know what I'm saying? So this is nothing new to me. But no, like it's so true, man. I mean, there's so many factions in this, and it's so hard, especially with like social media now.
Yeah.
In this age of information, everybody thinks they know everything.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to determine, okay, well, what's legit, what's not. And I say it all the time. It's just you got to be the boots on the ground. You got to be down at the surface level and figure out, okay, I'm in the trenches. I actually know it works every day, and then kind of go on to that. Yeah.
I mean, it's so I have like a woman who's a PT like that works with me. I'm kind of turning into a mentor, which I don't think I necessarily am very good one. I don't know, but I mean, I do think like I love Greg Lehman. Like Greg Lehman will like go to a post and be like, show me some evidence for this, or like, yeah, do we really need to say this? And I'm like, oh man, that was the type of stuff that like. When I was in PT school, I'd already been exposed to barbell medicine. I'd already been exposed to Greg Lehman to some extent. And so I just like questioned, like, when we were doing like these posterior, PA mobilizations of the spine, I'm like, hey, what? Like, I don't know if I feel like this just feels like you're pushing on my back, right?
Yeah.
Like, But there is almost like the drama of like, oh, I'm good at this. Like, oh, I feel it on L4 versus L5, right? And I
Yeah.
didn't have any of that. I was like, oof, I don't know. Like, I feel like what we should be trying to understand is like, how do we help people navigate pain better? How do we help people continue to move despite the fear of it, right? So like inside, let's just stay on the thread of like you being a strength coach practitioner now alongside football. Like, what are your challenges? Like, what are your challenges with working with coaches and athletes? Like, you probably are like in the middle of a lot of things that are tricky to navigate to some extent.
Yeah, and a lot of it's hard to say like what my challenges are because I don't really think PT is all that challenging in the sense of like you follow the principles and good things happen, right?
Yeah.
It's more just workplace stuff, right? So
Yeah.
like dealing with again crossing. You talked about a lot of crossover between some of these professions, right? So I work in a field where we have PTs, we have athletic trainers, we have strength and conditioning coaches, and there's so much bleed over between those three professions
Yeah.
that sometimes the lines get blurred and people might get a little territorial. Now, I will say this: we have a phenomenal strength and conditioning staff, and they put a lot of trust in me. Again, I think having been a strength coach, we kind of get each other on that level a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, I have a great relationship with those guys, and I have a great relationship with most of our athletic trainers as well. It's just again, it's navigating like the little things. Okay, well, how do we determine if this guy needs like true like physical therapy rehab or if he can do the rehab the ATs do, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where do the lines of practice get drawn? What's in my practice act versus what's in their practice act, right? And it's ticky tack stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
then just people getting territorial over things that there's really no need to get territorial over.
Yeah.
And again, I do it too, right? Like I'm not saying that I'm exempt here, but it's more just managing relationships on that front, and then on top of that, it's managing expectations.
Yeah.
I think especially athletes, they have really, really high expectations for themselves. And so when they maybe aren't coming back as fast as they think they should be, and they've got coaches in their ear, calling them pussies and like, oh, you guys need to get back faster. Like back in my day, it was only 2 months if you tore your labrum and then you got surgery and you were back on the field 3 weeks after that. Like stuff like that. You're like, whoa, 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 okay, we got to pump the brakes here.
Yeah.
And so, it's more just management stuff, really. I think, principles wise, PT wise, the same stuff that works in the clinic works in athletic situations.
Yeah.
I think so many people think it's got to be this super sexy rehab and you need all these super high tech tools. And it's like, no, you need to be able to listen and treat the patient in front of you. And like, if you can do that, you can be successful, right? And so
Yeah.
I think those are really the only like big challenges that I face.
What's the most satisfying part of your job right now?
The best part is like hands down. So like watching a guy who maybe has like surgery, right? So watching a guy get surgery and then, 6, 9, whatever, however many months later it is, like getting back on the field and being successful in a game.
Yeah.
So, by this time I've been through, gosh, 23, 24, so 3 seasons at BYU, 3 full like fall seasons. And every year I get anywhere between 10 and 15 dudes that have cycled through like my rehab stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
like watching those guys get out and like get all Big 12 honors or
Mm-hmm.
do really well and be really successful on the field, like that gives me a ton of joy. And that makes most of what the BS I deal with worth it. And
Yeah.
so that's really rewarding for me.
What are the characteristics of the people who rehab? Like, who are the guys who rehab? Like, you can probably identify the guy who's going to struggle with like the rehab process and the guy who's going to like not, right? What are the characteristics on both of those fronts where it's like they're going to be struggling and they're okay, like they're going to be in on this process, and maybe how does that person who was struggling start to move towards that other end of the spectrum?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I would say the things that determine success almost right off the bat is like your attitude towards whatever you're going through, right? The guys that I've seen that struggle or maybe come along a little slower, I might say, are the guys who like they get surgery and then immediately they like they're just super down on themselves, or
Mm-hmm.
they, and again, surgery is not an easy thing to deal with, especially when you're a high performing athlete and then you get
Yeah.
sidelined. Like that's tough. And I understand that. Right. And I have conversations with every single one of my guys at some point in the rehab process. Like, hey, listen, yeah, this blows. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is, but it's just like, if you're out playing on the field and somebody throws a penalty flag on you and you're innocent, what are you going to do? You're going to chew out the ref and then go like sit your butt on the sideline? Like, no, you just, you shake it off and you go to the next play. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you can kind of meet them on that level, it's one thing. But the guys that I've seen that have done, I won't say the worst, because that's a harsh way to put it, but the guys that don't succeed as much are, again, the guys who like get surgery and then they barely show up to stuff. They're sitting around their house playing video games because, well, I don't know, I don't feel very good, I don't want to come in. Like, I'm just mad that I'm doing this, and like those guys will always struggle. Whereas the guys who have a positive attitude, even if things don't go exactly right, right? So prime example, we had one of our big offensive linemen tears his ACL late in the season. He's like doing like a scout team rep and got hit just wrong, tears his ACL. So he gets surgery, and this kid's already dealt with some pretty big health stuff. Like, he's had like ankle deals and all kinds of stuff like that. And so he tears his ACL, gets surgery, and like he starts rehabbing, and he's doing pretty well. 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks into his ACL rehab, he's in the weight room. He's like benching because, he's off his pain meds. He's just doing some upper body stuff. And he had left a barbell sitting on the outside of the rack, like on the scoops. And so this kid's like 6'9", right? And so he sits up from benching, smacks his head on this outside barbell that's on the J-hooks. That barbell falls off the J-hooks, lands directly on his incision, and like explodes his knee. So like I'm sitting in the athletic training room, right? I'm working on some guy, and this kid runs in and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's knee just exploded. There's blood everywhere." And I'm like, "What?" And so AT runs out there, and like she runs back in, and she's got like all these towels just blood soaked, and I'm like, what the heck just happened in there?
Yeah.
And so he had to go get another surgery. They had to debride stuff, and luckily his graft held up. He had a quad tendon graft, which is why they were so worried. So, graft held up and everything, but I mean, that added another 3-4 weeks that this kid couldn't do anything, couldn't do any range of motion, and had to be really careful with quad stuff. And so that set him back a ton. But that kid, I mean, he had one day where he was not feeling super great, but then like, he's just like, hey, you know what? Like, it is what it is. These things happen. Like, it was an accident. I couldn't control it. And he's doing really well now. He's about 3 months out. He started running and stuff. And again, he's had ups and downs, but he's been able to progress and do really well just because he can be adaptable. Right? And that's kind of the conversation I have with a lot of my guys is the best ability you can have is adaptability. And just like, you got to learn to handle what comes at you.
Yeah, it's so cheesy, and sometimes I pinch myself or stop myself from like talking. I would probably talk about attitude every day, like be like, and like my wife hates it because I'm like, let's just check your attitude, like positive mental attitude, but I mean it really is like, if your attitude is at least, it doesn't even have to be good. It's just get it to neutral, right? Like just get to neutral. And then if you can just be adaptable, like so much of life and training is just rolling with the stuff that happens and seeing what good can come of it. Like every really shitty thing in my life has been because I kind of made it that way. Like, right? Like I've kind of sunk into the woe is me. And again, everything, like life is hard. Like people need support. I also just think we have like a consistent mind virus that is social media, that is news, just like plugging away at us. And don't get me wrong, there was like some really weird, like we got some weird shit going on from a lot of angles, right? Like it's wild, but it's almost always been like that. We just have way more access to it, right? And we almost can kind of see so much of the hard in life, right? But yeah, man, and like rehab is just training is just such a good analogy for like life. Like shit's gonna happen. Like I think me and you, I kind of I probably should go more at it. Adam Meekins, when he was on my podcast, like you gotta call out the shit, otherwise like they just grow, right? But like people are attracted to like the fear mongering or the singular, oh, you shouldn't round your back when you deadlift, because it really just confirms this like belief that, oh, that was a bad decision, right? And like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, there was some form of maybe a not great decision in that guy's accident happening, you know, like where the bar was, how he's like, yeah, but it was also just an accident. And a lot of times we're just blaming like a movement or, you know, our body for just shit that just happens, right?
100%. Like I had a conversation. Oh, sorry.
I
had a conversation with a guy yesterday. He's another guy who reached out to me on Instagram, and he had me on his little podcast for a little bit. I said, wow, that sounded really bad. Not his little podcast. He had me on his podcast.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to talk to the guy. I didn't mean to sound.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, if you're listening to this. But so he had me on his podcast, and he was asking me questions about like the FMS, right? And he was like, well, what's your beef with it? Why don't you? He didn't like it either, and you know. And I told him, I said, listen, there's nothing necessarily wrong with like the SFMA, the FMS, right? As like a screening tool, because that's technically what it's designed to be. That's what they say, right? It's a screen. It's a screen. Yeah. But then they back it up with this whole system of like fear of movement and this whole regional interdependence stuff, right? And like it's when you dig into that stuff that you lose me, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I think you said it exactly right on. Is that there's so many people that are attracted to the fear-based stuff. Mm-hmm. Because then it gives them an out. It gives them an excuse not to train hard, or it gives them an excuse not to have to deadlift, or, you know, I tell people so many times, you'd be more successful if you weren't afraid of pain. Yeah. Like if you just accept that sometimes things don't feel great, you know, you probably do a lot better. I actually saw a post this morning. It was really, really good. I don't remember the guy's name, but he posted, I don't remember the phrasing exactly either, but he said, you know, a lot of exercise selection has less to do with the actual exercise and more with what has a low floor for loading and a high ceiling for progression.
Yeah.
And like if you can figure that out, then like you can do almost anything, right?
Dude, I have this ruminating thought. It's like if you literally put the appropriate amount of weight on the bar, like or just get the loading right, like everything kind of takes care of itself, right?
100%.
Like if I got a 40-year-old woman who's never squatted before, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna do a squat to a box that like maybe is slightly challenging, and we're gonna give her a kettlebell. And if what her body does like is like good, cool. If it's challenging, like that's cool. Like it really boils down to like if the weight I put on the bar for a deadlift is like appropriate amount of challenge. And again, this is like some nuanced shit. Like me and you get this because we've been doing it for a long time. But like people are like, well, is it that simple? And it's like, yeah, it kind of is. It's just what's hard is that when you know you can deadlift 500 pounds and today you're really only feeling like you can do 405 for sets of 5 or to 10 type of thing, your ego wants you to go up to 455 or whatever. Yep. But it's like if you get the weight on the bar at any given time pretty good, you're probably going to get a good effect. You're probably going to get a good stimulus, right? And yeah, man, it is. It also just like I think is Cillian O'Connor, Dysfunctional. He put out basically like it's pretty easy to select the optimal exercise. The gurus have just made us think that these not us, but you know other people, that optimal exercises are like complex and XYZ. And it's like no, like. You know, we're going to do some form of a double leg hinge, some form of a double leg squat, some form of a single leg XYZ, like hinge or squat, right? And it really just, I think that's one of the things I always am navigating with people. It's like, the hard part is that you have to create a system. And I said this to somebody yesterday, like my system is just based on principles. Yep. Just take those principles and go make your own system. And I could probably look at that and be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Cool. Like, I'm not going to critique you. I think that's the other thing that PT school does. Probably everything. It's like, let's critique you on this decision you made. And, like, was it a good decision? Like, did it seem to do what you needed to do in that moment? Cool. Right. Like, let's move on, right?
Yeah, that was one of the greatest things that I enjoy. Well, I say I enjoyed, but one of the things my professors did correctly in PT school. Now, like, I don't know about yours, but my therapeutic exercise class was hot garbage.
Yeah.
And, you know, me coming in with a pretty decent background in exercise, like I did well in it because I understood things, but the professors that were grading me like didn't understand Some of them really did. Some of them didn't though. Some of them didn't understand exercise like I did. And so, but again, they gave me room to like do what I thought was necessary.
Yeah.
And then they never critiqued me on it, which was awesome, right? Like
Yeah.
there were times I'd say, hey, I chose this exercise, this, did this rep scheme for this reason. And they'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they just kind of let me explain myself rather than, well, I don't think that this is really appropriate. Now that did happen sometimes, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's PT school, it's academia, and you
Yeah.
can't put your faith in them. But yeah, man, like it's so true. I think optimization has less to do with the exercise, and it has more to do with just the load of the exercise, right?
Yeah.
You can do anything if the load is light enough and
Yeah.
be fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I can fart hard enough to, freaking tweak my back, then I could probably pick something up off the ground, okay, and not worry about it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's really not as important as you think.
Well, and it's just one. So on Tuesday nights I have like a group, and it started out as like my wife was doing adult ballet, and it started out as these women coming and like learning to lift, and then it turned into them bringing their spouses or boyfriends, right? And
Yeah.
the women, incredible. They're just like, what should I put on this bar? And I'm like, women have almost this like tentativeness where guys have this audacity, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
we just need to bring these together a little bit, right? But the dudes have gotten better, and I'm no different. Like I'd be like, I'm gonna load up a little too heavy. But one of them brought her partner or boyfriend partner yesterday he's been here. He came one time a couple, like probably 6 months to a year ago, and she's been really consistent, and he's like, he wants to come back, and he's like, critique me on my form, give me form feedback. I'm like, dude, like you move really well, like you squat, you know how to squat, you know how to do this stuff. Like really, it's just about, do we put the right amount of weight on the bar for you right now? And I can give you little feedback, but like a lot of it's just like, let the exercise work on you, right?
Yeah.
And our field is so much, it's also like, you could go critique anybody at any time with anything. Like you could say to somebody, especially when like a kid's trying to learn how to like coach in XYZ, oh, they're not in neutral, let's work on XYZ. And like that person doesn't know any of what that means.
Yeah.
And they also just take what you're saying and like, all right, I got to start like critiquing people. And it's really like, hey, did they move that pretty well? Was the bar speed pretty good? Did it have an acceptable amount of like deviation, right? And that's what, and I said this to the group yesterday. It's like, hey, you're just trying to take a dose of the medicine. You're not trying to eradicate cancer in this singular bout, right? Like you're just trying to get your dose of medicine, and then over time, like good shit happens. And that's the thing too. It's like, it's just have a good workout, right? Have another good workout. Have another good workout. And when you have a shitty workout, realize that like that's part of the problem. That's part of the process, right? And if you weren't having that happen, it's like, well, then you're probably never training hard enough to do that anyway, right?
100%, man.
What got you started? Like, why did you, if you became a strength coach, there's kind of like, this is a false dichotomy, but there's people who are wannabe lifters that become strength coaches, right? And there's people who actually like to fucking get in the gym and like get after it. I'm putting you in the second camp. But there are those like people who like, they never fucking touch a weight and then become a strength coach. And I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, it's super weird. And those are always the people that are like, well, Bill Belichick wasn't a pro football player, but he was a really good coach. It's like, all right, shut up, nerd.
Well, and like
but...
to that point, like, dude, there's a lot of really short white guys who are great basketball coaches.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that you can't, but like, strength coaching is not fucking basketball, right? It's like no. I think you gotta. There's a level of strategy and like cognition and that type of stuff. Again, we're trying to point stuff out, but like, dude, I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna sound really mean. There was a guy who was in high school. He was like the strength coach. Never touched a weight. Was just kind of like what I would call. Again, this is not kind. I'm not very kind. He was a sloppy human being, and he was like the strength coach.
Yeah,
and it just made me be like, what? Like, come on, man. Like. Even if you were just trying, if you would get on the bike, and I'd have more like respect for you. I just didn't respect him because it's like, you clearly don't do any of this stuff, right?
Yeah, dude. Well, that's such a problem, man. And it's in this age of information, you get everybody who says, "Well, I'm a coach now, and I'm this and I'm that." Like, listen, I'm not saying you can't have a solid understanding of principles and coach somebody. Like, obviously you can, right? If you
Yeah.
get it, you get it. But I think, and it's the same thing that I say for, I've talked about it for like PTs who don't lift and try to coach lifters, strength coaches who try to coach lifters. Like there's there's something about having some experience and like getting your ass under a bar that teaches you some things that you wouldn't understand otherwise,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'll make no mistakes. You said there's two types of people to get into strength coaching. There's wannabes and there's people who like to lift. There's also a third category, which is athletes who weren't quite good enough to make it
Yeah.
at D1
Yeah,
level,
that's
so they
probably
wanted to
what.
stay around the sport.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and again, I played football and rugby at BYU. I was a scout team All-American on the football team, and
Yeah.
I actually played a little bit of rugby. But yeah, that was it. I was a big weight room guy. I loved the weight room, and so I'm like, well, how can I stay in here as much as possible? And that kind of led me to the strength coach route.
Yeah. Well, the weight room is it's the most beneficial to the people who are the least capable, right?
100%.
It's like it can bring up your base, and God, man, I wish I really, in a lot of ways, I am the coach that I needed at 15 years old, right? Because that kid was trying to do Rocky montages,
Yes.
and like just I was like, oh man, I want to get my squat up, but I'm just gonna go run 4 miles. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like dude, like no, just go put 95 pounds on the bar and fucking rip some squats to a box.
We
right?
were all doing bigger, faster, stronger, and reading Muscle and Fitness, and trying to just do everything we saw there, and
Yeah.
just slamming creatine.
Yeah, I didn't. My mom wouldn't let me buy creatine. No, but yeah, I mean, and it is like, but it is, man, it just has such a positive effect on people's lives, right? Like when they accept that, oh, this isn't a 6-week transformation. This is literally a physical practice that I should take in with me. My father-in-law got training with me, started working with me like 3 or 4 years ago, and he'll have weeks where he doesn't get in a whole lot, but like, man, he's just so much more capable than he was 3 or 4 years ago, and he feels better, right? And like, from an athletic standpoint, like it also, I'm a bigger, stronger, faster human than I was 10 years ago. I'll probably even like I would kick the shit out of 17-year-old me, right? Just
100%,
absolutely
yeah.
massacre him, right? It's just like great, right? But yeah, and then you take a kid. I mean, I had a kid who didn't really have any interest in playing sports, and he started lifting with me just because like he wanted to start to learn to lift and train. And his mom's like, he just needs some direction, and we just need to know that he's not doing anything stupid. And I'm like, sweet, cool. And like he gained a ton of confidence, like and physical capacity, but also just like it made him more like human, right? It was good. He like talked more and enjoyed stuff more, right? And video games are great. Frick, I love video games. But he like was like, I can't just sit in my room and play video games. I'm gonna go do like, go out and drive my car, right? Like do X, Y, Z, right? So
Well, I tell people all the time, man. Like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like video games too. I'm not a huge gamer, but like, I'll waste 72 hours on Breath of the Wild or something like that too. But
it's mostly
but
how
yeah,
many
man.
kids do you have, Terrence? How many kids
I have
you got?
5.
Yeah,
I
you
have
got
5
too many kids,
Yeah.
man. Not
Yeah,
joking.
that's the main part. Is like if I want to play video games, I got to do it late at night, and I'm too tired to stay up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I mean, I remember being a high school kid and getting in the weight room because it was what you're supposed to do for football, right? And I liked it. I liked it enough when I was in there.
Yeah.
But then like it's when I started seeing like, oh, I'm getting stronger. Like, I was always a big kid. I won't say that I was like a fat kid by metrics, but I was a fat kid. And so like once I got to high school, I started actually filling out lifting weights. I'm like, oh, like this is okay. This is pretty cool. And so then I got a little more confidence and I started realizing, oh, hey, if I'm stronger, I can push people around on the field.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll put me, in a better situation to play college ball. And so that's when I started loving the weight room. But I tell people all the time, and I know you've done some Olympic lifting too, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, like it's like Olympic lifting. When people get into it, I say just like, hey, welcome to a lifetime of hating Olympic lifting.
Oh,
because you're never gonna stop and you're not gonna like it 99% of the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with working out and just with lifting weights in general. I tell people like, hey, listen, you're in a lifetime of like suffering now, but it's for the best reasons.
Yeah.
And like once you accept that, it changes your whole outlook.
Well, it's like I think you posted we should be maybe it was in an interview but it's like we should just be more open and real with people about what this is, right? Like, look, I love training, and I think it took me, man, I would say I was probably, when I was getting into it, I was doing it for other people, meaning I was trying to impress other people. I was trying to like show like my worth, and like there was probably like a 5-year period of that, maybe even a little longer. I think a lot of people stay stuck in that, and that's why their ego drives the car for most of their training career. That's why, you know, you have these old dudes who's like, I can't lift anymore, and it's because they just don't want to look weak compared to maybe their old version of themselves. And it's like, dude, who cares? Like, you know, go just get stronger again. It's fun, right? But I do love it now. But man, last week, I'm getting more into Olympic lifting. I'm not amazing by any means, and I like strained my neck. Like, you know, I'm catching the snatch, and I have my like chicken neck through, and like it doesn't feel that bad in the moment. But then like for 2 days I couldn't move my neck, and it's like, this is okay, you know. And I tell people that, like, because that's gonna make some people shy away. But like but then it's like I figure out, oh, like, you know, get your neck moving. Also, just change the position, like get your head through, look at the same spot, and it didn't have that, right? And like that's the stuff you're continuously working these problems, right? Which you're gonna have problems no matter what, but start making some problems that you can actually affect, right? And that's like the same, like that's what the weight room's about, right? Doing challenging shit. I think the people this is what I've also learned. It's like, you follow Will Rattel, right?
Yep.
Absolutely, like psychopath of a human, like cyborg type stuff. That dude, I think, has a quality in his mind that I have had to learn, and I think that dude is like, can be super in the moment, right? It's almost like this Meathead, which we'll get into Meathead Rehab. It's almost like Meathead Zen, right? Like you're doing a hard set and you're not like trying to escape it, like you're embracing it, right? Like that's Meathead Zen to me, right? Where I think for a lot of my training career, I was on the escape part of that. And now I'm getting better at like, yeah, dude, you got to just embrace that this is hard, and you're just staying with it. Cause dude, your brain responds to that shit. Like it pumps it. It makes you a different human being. Right.
Well, dude, I mean, think about like, you know, put your PT cap on for a minute. You know, you learn in school about, you know, like even just neuro rehab, right?
Yeah.
They talk about, you know, once you get above, it's like 80% RPE or 80% heart rate, whatever it is. Like you get this big release of BDNF, and your brain makes all these good changes and stuff. Like learning to just work hard and learning to suffer and like just push through suffering or pushing through strain. It goes so far beyond the weight room, but it bleeds into every aspect of your life, right?
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. You know, there's a lot of things. I've dealt with a lot of crap in my life. And even just my journey to get into physical therapy. I mean, it was long, dude, having to quit a job, and, you know, I had kids and trying to figure that out, work in a PT clinic as a 30-something-year-old dude, go back to undergrad courses as a 30-something-year-old dude, and do some extra stuff, retake the GRE, like apply to a bunch of schools, pay a bunch of money. Like, that sucked. But like, just the fact that I had learned, again, because you could extrapolate the skill of learning how to suffer physically to learning how to suffer mentally, right? And there's so much crossover and bleed over there that I think if more people just got in the weight room and learned how to strain, learned how to work hard, like you'd see so many less problems, just because you can learn to cope a little bit better. Plus, the gym's a great place to take out your frustrations, right? Like, dude, I would say, like, I like going to the gym because then that means I don't murder people in real life, you know? Like,
100%. Well, it's, man, my dog, if my dog does not get to go run, she has these tendencies, like she's like grumbling, like these like low level frustrations and stuff. And it's like, I had one of my like long term friends and clients. She's like, yeah, Oakley. They have this like corgi, and they're like, yeah, Oakley was just like, she was like being like more aggressive, and she was just kind of like, she could just tell she wasn't happy. And we took her to the vet. And we're like, well, how much play-in does she get? And they're like, wow, they're both, it's her, this woman and her husband are both firefighters, and it's like we've kind of been struggling to like get her out and get her moving as much. It's like, well, all right, try to get her on a daily walk and, you know, try to get a little bit more play. And she's like, yeah, it's crazy because like 2 weeks of just daily walks and play, and she's like a brand new dog again, right? She's happy all the time. Like, now apply that to every freaking human who's
Yes.
struggling. And like, again, that might look like just go for your daily walk. Like you do a ruck, right? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be hard, but a lot of times it is just like, you just got to get your ass moving, right? And like
100%.
it changes your brain, it changes your outlook on the day. And then you mentioned it, like, dude, I took so much more from neuro and from just like, even I've worked multiple inpatient jobs, right? Like
Yeah.
that's actually what like rehab should be. It's like, find the most challenging task you can do safely, and like, let's just do that freaking task, right? Like, if somebody has a stroke and they have left-sided deficits now, okay, take away their right hand, make them try to use their left, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
spend 15 minutes of honestly them not liking you, and
Right.
but that's what gets results, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's that amount of intention, and it's no different when it's like, yeah, like, dude, squats are hard. That's one of my biggest things. It's like, yeah, fucking squats are hard, deadlifts are hard.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, that's the point. Like, just
Yeah. Squats
instead of-
never get any easier either.
Yeah, instead of like trying to find an easier way to do this thing, because that's what I did too. Like, when I was really into CrossFit, I was just really frustrated. Like, why is my squat not going up? It's like, well, I was squatting like once every 4 weeks, like hard, right? And it's like, yeah, you just need to actually practice this, right?
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, again, it's like last year. What was it last? Yeah, it was last year. Last year's like the strongest my deadlift's ever been, right? I got up to like 660, I think. And that's not a flex. That's just me saying like, hey, that's like, I pulled some
Yeah.
pretty good numbers, which is still really weak. Some people are probably watching that and like, okay, pussy, 660, all right. But no, like I had for so long, I fought like, I'm not going to use straps. I'm just going to be tough. And like, I'm not going to use a belt. I'm not going to use straps. If I can't hold it, I can't lift it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm freaking 36 years old. Like, I'm on the freaking downslope right now. So like, I'm gonna pull out whatever stops I can. And I ended up deadlifting more than I have. And like,
Yeah.
even now, just in the last like couple months, so I've been trying to like diet down and cut and stuff. And I know I don't look it right now, but I'm like probably like the leanest I've been in a long time too.
Nice.
And again, it's just there's value in just doing hard stuff, man. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people, I think so many people just avoid the hard way, and like you got to lead into it, and like that's where all the magic happens.
Yep. It makes it, and I kind of go to this too, like, make it as easy as possible to do the hard thing. Like, when you're dieting, like, don't completely, if when you're trying to lose some weight, like, don't completely freaking feel like you got to go, like, honestly, like keto or XYZ. Like,
Right.
those are actually,
Yeah.
like, those are these, like, like, what's been helping me, man, is like, yeah, dude, don't go back for second.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
right? Just eat less and
Right.
see what happens. And then also just win, a day at a time. Like, learning to reset quickly has been helpful for me. And like, oh, what does that
Yeah.
mean? It's like, well, just when you make a shitty decision or when something happens, that just go again, right? Like,
Yep.
and that's a practice skill. When it comes to, all right, let's get in a little bit of like your content creation philosophy. Because like, you've done a really good job in a pretty short amount of time, man, of just like building a good repertoire of memes, which I appreciate, but also like just telling it how it is. Also, dude, I did
Right.
not realize that Tiger Woods got arrested for another DWI. I was like, what is this Tiger
Yeah.
Woods?
I saw
man.
that and I had to immediately like, let
Oh.
me exploit this. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, poor. I don't want to say poor guy. I shouldn't. Oh, man, it's just hard, dude. Like, that guy. This is a meta lesson, I think.
Right.
This is what I think the grass is always greener does to people. Tiger Woods, objectively has had everything you could ever want in life.
For sure.
And I do think his dad's situation, I think his upbringing was not good. And I've just learned about Tiger Woods' upbringing and XYZ. But, man, this is the power of humility, right? And like having disciplines, right? And navigating, like, I always go back to this. Like, why do people drink? Anxiety. Why do people smoke? Anxiety. Why do people do all this shit? Because in the moment, they're putting a balm on something that is a deeper sore, right?
Yep, 100%.
And like, that's that dude's life. And it sucks because, man, arguably fucking incredible athlete, incredible golfer. But like, you can have all that. I would not take that dude's life at all.
No, hard
you
pass.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway. Content creation.
Yeah, yeah.
You can
Side
speak
note,
on
real
moral,
quick, my
you can speak
my
on moral
computer
virtues as well if you want.
my
What do you
computer may die in a minute. I have my work computer and I don't have my charger, so if I cut out, I will come back in on my phone.
That's fine. That's
Um,
cool.
sorry, content creation. Go ahead.
Just your process. Why are you doing it? What do you care about?
So originally it was like so I started the page last year and I was like, well, I wanna try to get some online clients and start making some more money. I got 5 kids, dude. Life's freaking expensive. Like
Yeah.
that was really the main thing.
Yeah.
And then I did it for a couple months and then I kind of fell off. Like I kind of fell out of love with it. And I love like making memes. I like editing videos. Like I used to make high school videos and stuff with my friends back in the day. And
Yeah.
so I scratched a little bit of a creative itch, but eventually I just kind of got tired of like being on my phone all the time. And so I actually stopped the page for probably about 9 months. And then it was just last year. I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to stop worrying about trying to get results and trying to just gain followers and get paid for stuff and get online stuff. Like, I need to start just putting out good info because I think people need to hear it. And
Yeah.
so, right now, like, I'm not even really caring about like people coming online and getting online services or anything like that. Like, I just do it for the love of the game right now. And
Yeah.
I may fall off the page again, but no, I just I'll see something and sometimes I'll just outright steal a meme like I did it yesterday, but
Yeah.
I credited the guy I stole it from. But there's other times I'll have conversations with people, or I'll hear something online, or my wife will tell me something, or one of her friends will talk to me about something. I'm just like, so many people just don't understand this, and so then I just
Yeah.
try to make it funny or make it relatable and then put it out to people because it's been so surprising because you said at the beginning, so many people buy into this fear mongering stuff, but
Hmm.
I feel like just as many people actually buy into good information,
Oh yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I get so many PTs that like, hey, like I really love your stuff, like you're representing the profession really well, and there's sometimes I'm like, man, am I actually doing a good job or do people think I'm an idiot? And it's always going to be both, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think just try to put out good information. I think you do a great job of this too, man. Like the stuff you put out, it's so digestible and it's so simple, but it's so poignant and so true, right? And
Yeah.
you know,
I
I,
appreciate
I,
that.
I take it a little bit different of a way. I like to just be memey and try to make people laugh.
Well, I
But
think
yeah,
I think
it's
I think you gotta in our day and age. Austin Yoakum,
yeah.
not Jokum. Austin
Mhm.
Yoakum had a good thing. He's like, the meme is the new memes are a new form of like hijacking in a positive way. They're a Trojan horse for good information, right? I
Yes.
also like, dude, it's like the movement cults, like they don't know how to be funny.
No.
I just like it's always like either weirdly deeply fear mongering, or this is the best way to do it and like appeals to authority, right? Where
Hmm.
I think like how you undermine that stuff is through comedy, right? And like this is
Yes.
why comedians are so important to any society, people
one
willing
hundred
to say,
percent. Yeah.
right? um and like you gotta get in changing people's minds is really hard. And one of the ways they first have to open themselves up to the fact that, oh, there could be a different way. And a
Hmm.
lot of times humor is the thing that does that, right? Now a
Yeah.
lot of times people also like why Stephen Colbert was so freaking good at whatever his old show was, like, and then why he's kind of sucked and like as just a normal thing is because the dude was just amazing satirically,
Yeah.
and it was a great character, and it got like, if you were conservative, it like you still would think about things even though you maybe thought he was on your side, right?
Right.
If you were liberal, it still made you think maybe about conservatism, right? And like,
Yeah.
man, you said it earlier, like it's not that I don't think that anything that like functional patterns does is like useful. I kind of don't, honestly. but
Yeah.
but
No.
like
Same. Yeah.
it's just kind of dinking around with movement, and if you just
Yep.
said that's what it is and it feels good, it's like, cool, great. If you want to do that, great. But they make
Yeah.
these claims like this is the way to preserve longevity, this is the way to do these things, and it's like, no, this is just you selling something that people who aren't as into the game or don't understand will buy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's
Go
people.
ahead.
It's people avoiding load to try to get novel. Like
Yes.
it's avoiding load and novel exercises. And so yeah, you're gonna feel good because you're not pushing hard. Like,
Yeah.
and if you are pushing hard, it's so convoluted that like yeah, it feels hard from an intensity standpoint, but it's actually not. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean you just call it what it is there.
Yeah. And it's And like, the Pilates realm, like, I don't care if you want to do Pilates, go do
Yeah,
Pilates.
do
It's just
whatever you
not going
want.
to benefit you the way that a lot of these claims are, right? Or, it's
Yeah.
the same with like, dude, when I do yoga, I feel great because
Hmm.
it's like 45 minutes of me freaking just moving and sweating and
Yeah.
stretching. But if I think that's going to, that might transfer over to me doing like better lifting in the nature of it help me feel good, but it's like
Hmm.
it's not driving any sort of adaptation there. It's just like it just feels good, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
movement is okay, right?
Right. And I think so many people like you want to get so pigeonholed, right? And, so many people are like, well, all you want people to do is just lift heavy. And I go, no, I don't care what you do. Like,
Yeah.
I might make fun of you for doing CrossFit or high rocks, whatever the new stupid thing is. But like, it's like, yeah, I'll make fun of you for doing it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Like, that's always going to be better than nothing. If all you do is go on a walk, that's better than freaking sitting your ass on your chair all day.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like, it's just,
like High Rocks tapped into the fact that CrossFit got too fucking hard for most people to actually get good at. Right? There
yeah,
was just so much that you had to get good at. Like, it's like,
right.
damn, I gotta get good at Olympic lifting. I gotta spend like, where it's like High Rocks is like, yep, I'm gonna run and I'm gonna do these relatively low skill movements.
Yeah.
And you know what? Great. Like, it does. I'm gonna have to do one at some point. I just have too many clients who are training for them.
Right.
Like, I gotta fucking do them. It's like, it's great. But it's cool. And man, we are a fucking sedentary population. So it's like, I don't care as long as we move towards the direction of goals. And frankly, people even doing high rocks need help managing their training load. They need help like navigating this stuff well. Is it that I had a woman do like a consult call with me and she's like, so I'm talking to you and I'm talking to a high rock specific training coach. And I'm like, great. And all right, we were kind of talking about like high rocks, and then Terrence's computer died, and I'm gonna give him shit about that. But no, it's all good.
As
So,
you should.
but I think this is one of the things that maybe is a good way to wrap up because it kind of brings us back to principles oriented things. Like high rocks is cool, CrossFit's cool.
For sure.
All of these things still boil down to like the fundamental principles of like training, like stress recovery, adaptation, specificity. Like I had someone book a call with me, and she's looking to train for a high rocks, and it was between me and a high rock specific coach. Right? I don't really know that person's background. I don't care. The woman went with the high rock specific coach because she's training for high rocks, right?
Yeah.
And great, you know what? Fine. But I think there's this overarching pervasive thing in a lot of these fields that like there's some like magic secret to a lot of the things we're doing when it's really like look at the demand, look at what we're trying to achieve, and make a good training plan that takes you in the direction of those goals and is adaptable, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So wrap us up. Why are principles greater than all this stuff, Terrence, and why should we focus on them?
Well, here's the thing, David. I've said this a lot of times, and I'll preach this point till the cows come home. So many people want to talk about, especially again, having come from strength and conditioning, now being in PT. So many people will talk about this gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard it before. We got to bridge the gap between PT and strength or training. Like there is no gap. It's all the same freaking bridge. Like
Yeah.
you're just at different points, right? It's a spectrum.
Yep.
And so when you can realize that like things like progressive overload, recovery, time, stress, like all those things apply at every phase of rehab. It's just how you manipulate the variables.
Yeah.
Like the whole world opens up for you, you know? And so I think whether it's PT, whatever, yes, I use lifting and strength training, and as do a lot of people. But that's a tool. However you use, whatever tool you use to get the outcome, to put some stress on your people, to get them stronger, to get them better. It doesn't matter what tool it is, right? Just like just with normal people, CrossFit, high rocks, bodybuilding, strongman, powerlifting, whatever it is, like it's great. It's better than nothing, and you're probably you have a means to an end, right? And so I think we just gotta stop like trying to overcomplicate it. And again, just go back to the principles. Doesn't matter exactly how you apply them. Just go back to applying them. And like, don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be sexy. It doesn't need to be novel. Like this is the same stuff that's worked since the dawn of time. That's the reason Milo Croton is such a big like deal in strength and conditioning, is because it's such an old story and it's so true and it still holds up today.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I just think once we stop like trying to create all these factions and trying to make PT and strength just what it isn't.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think there's a certain movement of like, I call it optimistic nihilism,
Yeah.
where like, hey, everything works and nothing works. Like
Yeah.
you just do what you want.
Yeah.
You know.
It like, man, it really, the framework of goal-oriented rehab is like really, because like we got to know where you want to go to start going, right? And like to some extent, now it's okay if you just want to like, if you just want to go to the Y and you want to do a cardio circuit in XYZ because that makes you feel good and it's keeping you feeling good. Like there's almost this level of ignorance that I think is useful to some people. It's like, yeah, you just don't need to know. You just do what you do and you're fine, right? Now, but like if you want to be strong, like the women's training is like a good example of this right now. It's like the results a lot of women want. Again, me and you are men. We can't really talk about this, but it's okay. The results a lot of women want come from building muscle, managing fat on their frame, right? Mm-hmm. Eating appropriately, meaning just eating enough to fuel your goals. Now, the specifics of that all pertain to like where you're currently at, right?
For sure.
There's no perfect blueprint. There's no perfect like this is the exact recipe that everybody uses all the time, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the things that people often want, and a lot of like Pilates is a way to lean and tone you. It's like no, it's like it's an exercise regimen. It's fine, it's good, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that people adapted basically to not strength train in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
When it's like, yeah, like it's okay to rip some deadlifts and some squats. Like those things are going to help you, right? So, yeah.
Well, dude, it's the same with guys though, man. Like,
yeah.
Look at how many guys well, I can't. It's really hard for me to lose weight. I'm a hard gainer. It's really hard for me to put on muscle. It's like no. The physics are the same for everybody. Like, you train more and you eat more, or you train more and you eat less, or do whatever. But like. Just do the thing. There's no perfect blueprint for it. Just the results come from the work you're not doing.
Manage the uncertainty because that's really what you're freaking struggling with. Is like, oh, it's going to take some time and it's going to be not a linear path, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good place to end. Terrence, where do people find you, my friend?
So you find me just Meathead_rehab. That's where all my chicanery is.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, just my personal Facebook, which is at Terrence Motley, but I'm rarely ever check it. I have a Twitter. I never check that. Like, so Instagram's probably the best place, or you can reach out to me through email as well if you just DM, and I can give you my email address.
All right. I appreciate you, man. Keep at it. Keep having fun. That's the only way to keep making it consistently, dude, is if you just freaking have fun. I really do believe that. There's got to be a 100%. Fun aspect of it. And then the online component, man, I think there's a level of I had to create enough bandwidth for it to grow, and that was the tricky thing for me for a little bit. I also I've gotten support and some mentorship there, but man, just keep putting out good information and figure out what you want, and it'll go where you want to take it. I guess is the big thing, but 60 hours a week and 5 kids, man, that's tough.
yeah, it's a lot. Luckily, we're in a little bit of a slower season now, but it's a lot, but. Dave, I appreciate you. I appreciate all the content you put out too, man. Like you're an inspiration, so I appreciate you.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you. Keep it up, and we'll chat again soon.
All right, big dog.
Peace, everybody.